Arthur's facial hair grows in the game's real time, and his options when styling it depend on how long it's gotten. Arthur can shave at his tent in camp, go clean shaven, keep a full beard, and anything in between. He can trim the different areas of his face, chin, cheeks, sideburns, so they are short, medium, or long. To change his hairstyle, Arthur will need to visit a barber in a town. Arthur will visibly lose or gain weight, depending on how much food he eats. Outfits are highly customizable. For example, players can choose whether or not their shirt is tucked into their pants, or whether their pants are tucked into their boots. If Arthur is covered in mud or blood, the reaction he will get will be different, as opposed to being clean. Snow on Arthur's clothing will eventually melt. Mud will harden and wipe away. Blood will dry. Arthur can swim, but he is described to be only moderately competent. The player's choice of clothing has an impact on the game. Players will need to add layers in the mountains and dress light in the swamps. Arthur can look at his reflection in the mirror and will comment on what he sees. This will depend on the dialogue options a player chooses. Arthur is described to be less kind than John Marsden. Weapons will get dirty and clogged up over time. The climate and environment will affect weapon handling. Weapons that are submerged in water will rust, and without regular cleaning, guns will build up dirt, decreasing the rate of fire. Guns that are neglected for too long may jam completely. The Deadeye system from the first game returns, with higher levels showing critical hit spots for people and animals. There will be 5 levels of Deadeye in Red Dead 2, up from the previous 3. Enemies may be able to take multiple bullets if they don't hit vital organs. Players will be able to dive and roll while using Deadeye. Tapping the fire button rapidly will shoot from the hip. Double tapping L1 on the PS4 will holster a player's gun with a flourish. Holding up on the D-pad will fire a shot into the air. This will attract the attention of people and startle animals. There are a number of weapon crafting options, which include fire bottles, split point bullets, and arrows more suited for specific animals. Weapon customization is extremely in-depth. Almost every part of a gun can be customized, and weapons can be made from a number of different metals. Guns can be engraved, and ornamental handles can be added. Shooting a horse will knock an enemy off its back. Weapons and weapon sounds have been mentioned to be particularly satisfying, with shotguns now being able to dismember people. Gunfights are described as being very dangerous outside of cover, and will incentivize players to stay behind solid objects. Rival gang members were mentioned to have synergy in gunfights, with many of them working together to kill the player. A player stores guns on their horse, and will need to choose which ones they want to use. Loading and unloading weapons from a horse will use custom animations. Different sources claim that players will be able to carry anywhere between 2 to 4 weapons at once. The exact number is unclear. Players will be able to always carry throwable weapons, a knife, a lasso, and a pair of binoculars regardless of other weapons chosen. Holstering large weapons is described to be lengthy and immersive. Players are able to shoot weapons out of enemy hands. Players can dual wield pistols. However, it is a skill that needs to be unlocked. Other weapons include TNT and Gatling guns. Buying a bandolier will increase ammo capacity for long arm weapons by 50%. Using a gun belt will increase the ammo capacity of sidearms by 50%. Using a holster will slow the degradation of guns by 20%. The game includes stat tracking for individual guns. Bows cannot be held at full tension for too long, as Arthur will get fatigued and become inaccurate. Many guns need to have the hammer pulled back manually with a second pull of the fire button. Arthur will load individual bullets into a gun when reloading. Stamina affects shooting accuracy. Killed animals are marked with a paw print on the minimap. You can wear animal carcasses as a hat. If you leave the bodies of animals where you killed them, they will attract scavengers. Carcasses will decompose over time. Possums will play dead when they are threatened. If you shoot an animal with a bullet rather than an arrow, it'll fetch a lower price at the town butcher as opposed to a clean kill. As you skin an animal, you can see where the exit wounds are. Skinning animals is very detailed. Arthur's shoulder will be covered in blood after carrying a dead animal. An eagle eye system is used to track and hunt animals. Activating it will also show the scent coming off of your body, which animals can catch wind of to track you. A player will need to physically carry animals they've hunted to be sold or eaten. Animal cruelty is a crime. Players can take animals to a trapper who can make rare clothing. There are legendary animals that exist for select species. Animals will take shelter and be less active in the rain. A red wanted bar flashes on screen when you attract the attention of the law. The color drains away as the heat dies down. Putting on a bandana during a crime and then taking it off afterwards makes the wanted meter drop faster, providing you're out of the search radius. You can pay off your own bounty by visiting the nearest post office during the day. Bullet holes will remain in clothing after you get shot. Clothing will affect stamina. Players are able to conduct train heists outside of scripted missions. Aim assist can be tuned to a player's liking. A player can sprint by tapping X on PlayStation and A on Xbox. A player can crouch whenever they choose. An old camera can be used to take pictures. Selfies are confirmed. Trains are drivable. Not eating enough food or not sleeping will reduce a player's stamina. Players can choose how long they sleep. Attempts to hijack carriages can be repelled by NPCs. Players can meet and challenge famous gunslingers. Players can loot different items from NPCs and sell them as they see fit. Loot that Arthur discovers will sometimes be split between him and the camp. There's a victrola at the camp, and certain NPC companions may serenade the player with a song. The camp runs on a schedule. In the morning, gang members might walk out of their tents in sleep attire. People will sleep at night and gather around when eating food. Players are able to antagonize their own crew members at camp. But if they do, other camp members will take notice and comment on it in the future. It was mentioned that the player will start in a mountainous area called the Grizzlies and will briefly lock players inside the area during a short tutorial phase. This area is described to be very snowy and cold. At the start of the game, the gang is large, but not at its peak. Gang members will involve you in conversation as they are talking and continue without you as you walk away. If you get thrown in jail, there's a random chance your gang will break you out. Alternatively, you can fake surrender before killing the lawman with their guard down. Providing resources for your camp will help it improve, providing benefits such as higher morale and enabling fast travel. Players can choose how much time they invest into their camp. Players are able to fast travel from their own tent to any settlement previously discovered. The camp itself was described as lively, with people happy to talk to you as you pass by. Players will have the ability to have other gang members perform specific tasks, such as stealthily kill rival gang members. A fellow gang member may sometimes suggest riding into a nearby town for a drink. Gang members include gunslingers, con artists, former revolutionaries, or runaways. Gang members will be agitated if you argue with them and treat you differently if you're drunk. Companions are described to be competent during a fight. Gang members will flank the enemy and provide covering fire. Alcohol improves the morale of the camp. Keeping the gang happy will provide the player with hidden benefits. You can choose to talk to gang members on the way to destinations, or you can instead ride in silence. Gang members may rob down bodies and keep the loot for themselves. Horses will get covered in mud over time. They can be cleaned by riding through a body of water or through a rainstorm. Arthur will talk to his horse, and his comments will change depending on the gender. Horses can navigate to a destination set by the player. Holding X while riding with other gang members in cinematic mode will ensure the player rides as a pack. Players are able to switch camera angles while in the cinematic view. Players can choose the position they ride in the group. Horses will defecate dynamically. The cosmetic items for the horses include saddles, saddlebags, stirrups, horns, blankets, and bedrolls. None of these affect gameplay. You can also change the style of its mane and tail, making it short, medium or long. Braids and dreadlocks can also be added. Horses cannot be resurrected once killed. When a horse is wounded, it will enter a down state. The only way to save the horse is with a horse reviver, which can be bought from a general store. Players can tell their horse to run away in order to spare its life.